If you enjoy the video and my content, please consider supporting my channel over on Patreon at patreon.com/katydidart. Thanks so much! Wahaha! Welcome back to another Inktober video. Today we are going to be painting day number 14 with the theme from my prompt list, candle. It's a pretty simple theme, and honestly it's a pretty simple painting, but I still had a lot of fun making it, and yeah, so what you don't know is that on the other side of this piece I had actually painted a different painting. It's for tomorrow's video. And okay, I did a lot of these out of order, as I may have already mentioned, and this is no stranger to that, so I did day 15 before I did day 14. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but there are kind of some purple dots on her and in the background. What happened was, at the end of day 15, after I had filmed it and everything, I decided to add some Copic marker on top without really thinking about the fact that they bleed through. I don't really even know why I forgot about that, but I did. So when coloring this piece, I had to be very mindful of the purple dots, because obviously I didn't want them to show through because they were not intentional. So when painting this piece, I had to come up with a color scheme that I knew would cover all of those purple dots and still make it look good. So I thought about it and I was like, well, I could, you know, make black cover the whole of the background and then kind of deal with the spots on her skin as we go, kind of thing. And so that's what I did, and I ended up deciding to go with a pretty monochromatic color scheme with pops of red, which in turn I think turned out really, really lovely. So if you're interested in this lovely lady or any of my other Inktober pieces in a art book titled Into the Swamp, or you're interested in some acrylic pens, which are pretty much like enamel pens but they're made out of acrylic, I will have pre-orders available and there will be a link on the screen. Pre-orders do end on October 30th, and with those pre-orders you get a discounted price and you also get pre-order bonuses. So if you are interested in any of that, head on over to my store, check them out, and see if there's something that you really like. Again, pre-orders end on October 30th, as well as the discounted price and the pre-order bonuses, so get them while they're hot. Now it's on to painting her. Now I decided to paint her red details first just so I could gauge how I wanted the piece to go. I don't really know if that makes any sense or not. And I did not outline her before actually painting the piece. Again, just kind of going back to what I'm most comfortable with. So I decided to paint all her markings and accents first with red, and then after that dries, I go in with pretty much just watered down black, and I shade the skin. And I honestly love this piece so much. I spent a lot of time rendering out her skin, trying to make it look really good, and I am really proud of it, honestly. I always feel like I'm very bad at grayscale, and it is definitely something I would like to work on eventually. However, it's something I just haven't had the time to work on, even though, again, it's something I should work on. So I am glad that I got to kind of sneak in a grayscale pop of color piece in this, and I may do another one throughout the rest of Inktober, but I am not quite sure, and I'm not going to make any promises. But I do really love this, and I think the most fun I had was adding the layers, which is funny because I don't really like adding layers to anything. I like going as dark as possible, as quickly as possible, so I can just continue on with my life and with my piece, and I'm very impatient, is pretty much what I'm saying. And honestly, I had a lot of fun building up the layers. The only thing I did not have fun with was letting these pieces dry. At the time of painting this, I did not own a heat gun or hairdryer or whatever. I know, OMG, I'm a woman and I don't own a hairdryer. It's like the controversy of the century, but I just have never really needed a hairdryer, and I didn't really want one, to be fair. So I didn't have any kind of heat tool to dry my pieces with, so I would always have to sit there and wait and wait and wait, and it is super frustrating, especially when you're impatient and you just want to paint the dumb piece. So I did eventually end up investing in a heat gun, and I don't actually know what day I finally invested in my heat gun. It's not anytime soon for these pieces, so maybe it'll pop in here or there, but I had to wait for this one to dry. Was pretty much the moral of what I was telling you, which was kind of tedious, but I am glad I was patient with it because, again, the shading, especially that arm shading, I'm like super proud of, and it's very strange. And I kept going darker, and there's always this anxiety for me whenever I do layer darker that, oh my god, I've gone too dark, I will never recover from this, help. But thankfully it all worked out, and I really love the simplicity of this piece, and all it is pretty much her just blowing out a candle, and it's really simple. And yes, instead of actually trying to paint in the smoke effect like day number 10, I just decided to concede defeat and just paint it in with a gel pen, because why not? Another thing that gave me a little bit of anxiety was coloring her hair, because I wanted it to be separate from the background, but I also wanted her hair to be darker. So I definitely had to play around with the tones of the hair to make sure it wasn't too dark to blend into the background, but it also wasn't too light to not be as dark as I wanted it. So it was definitely a learning curve for that. And then I just kind of touch up all the shading, and then eventually I will add a fine liner to all of this just to give it some dimension. Honestly, there are some parts of this piece where I do wish I hadn't added a fine liner, but there are other pieces where I am glad I added a fine liner, so all in all I'm really not that upset. Also, this is my terrible attempt at painting dreadlocks. I definitely would like to learn how to paint and color and draw dreadlocks better, because I think dreads are really cool. Like, I personally probably do not have the patience to actually have them, but I do think that they look really awesome, and I would definitely like to learn how to draw them more in my art. I can live vicariously through my art. So, honestly, I don't have much else to talk about this piece, because again, it is a really simple piece and it was super easy for me to paint. So I'm just gonna tell you a random life thing. Hub and I had our 5-year marriage anniversary. It's crazy. On the 9th of October, so a few days ago. And we went out to see Venom, and it was actually really good, and in my opinion one of the better Marvel movies that has been made. Don't come at me with pitchforks. I don't know. Some of the Marvel movies are really good, and I definitely think they're better than the DC movies, except for Wonder Woman, because I love that movie. And I guess we're not really here to debate movies, but Venom was really good, and I like the direction that they took the character, and I love Tom Hardy as an actor, and it was just really good, and I had a good time. So now I am fine lining this piece, something to talk about now, it's not movies. And if you do want to know any and all supplies that I used in this specific video, I will have a supply list in the description below, as well as links to where you can go check them out. Also, if you want to know just the general supplies that I plan on using this Inktober, I will have a video pop up on the screen to my Inktober tips and supplies video to give you some inspiration, as well as give you some supply info on what I plan on using for this month. Every year I make one of those Inktober videos, and I swear I add way more supplies than I end up using, but this year I decided to go minimalistic. Well, as minimalistic as extra Katie can get. I decided to only list the things that I absolutely knew I was using, so like my Bombay inks and my fine liners and my white gel pen. And then if I used extra supplies, I could always put them in the description of whatever video I used it in, but I'm not like giving you a list of literally every ink supply I own and then being like, oh, well, I didn't use half of them, because I swear that is what has happened for like the past 1 or 2 Inktobers, is I get way too over ambitious and it just doesn't end up working for me. But your girl will always be using Bombay inks because those are her favorite. Freaking love those inks. So one thing I struggled with a little bit in this piece was adding shine to dreads. I didn't look up any reference, which I'm kicking myself for, because as an artist you should always look up reference if you're not sure. So I just added like the same highlights that I would have added for regular hair, and I feel like that just does not fly because I just don't think they're the same at all. So I don't know. I think the shines could have been better in her hair, but I digress. I mean, it's something that, again, I need to make a list of, that I need to improve on and make sure I reference from now on. But again, Inktober is about learning, Inktober is about growing, so that is what we're here for, to learn our mistakes and grow and all that stuff. Also, I paint over that terrible attempt at smoke because, yeah, it was really bad. It ends up actually not being so bad after it dries, but it was bad at first. So anyway, I want to thank you all so incredibly much if you got this far in the video. Thank you so much for watching day number 14. I hope you stick around for tomorrow's video, which will be day 15. Here's a look at the final piece. Thank you again for watching. If you're not a part of our squid pod, there will be a subscribe button down below, as well as a bell button. If you click that, you get notified on when I upload new videos. I also have social media where I'm going to be posting all of my Inktober pictures. And until next time, my adorable squidlings, toodaloo!